Gina, explain to them why you measure hands for shears.
Okay, the reason you measure hands for shears is number one, they probably never had their hands measured. So it's something new, so you sound like more of an expert. Number two, when you measure hands for shears, you're going to find out where the shears balance. If it's the right size, it's going to be more balance in their hand. If there's more balance in their hand, there's less fatigue in their hand. So just like your front end, if your tires aren't balanced, it'll wobble. Okay, and then with tire wear it's going to be worse. If the shears are balanced, it's fine. Now some people like longer shears, some people like shorter shears, that's fine. But they're not going to be balanced. Just tell them that this measures the balance of the shear. So it's the proper size for you. And I do it, basically what you do is you ask, I'll say, have you ever had your hands measured for shears and just put it. Okay, hey Bonnie, come here.
Yeah.
You want to go home with me?
I thought I was sleeping with Dennis.
Okay, I'll tell Tanya. Okay, I said, have you ever had your hands measured for shears? See, when I put my hand out like that, she immediately put her hands out. And that's happened just about every time I do that, it happens. And except for one time at a school, I said, talking to a sweet young thing, and says, have you ever had your hands measured for shears? And she looked at me and she went, before it was over with, she let me measure her hands though. And basically what you're going to do is take the shear, push it into her hand until you feel resistance in the thumb. And you're on the middle finger there. I'll show you on my hand because it fits, this one fits me. Throw it like that.
Show the camera.
Sew it like that. And you want it to be in this top digit up here. Somewhere in this top digit on the middle finger. Now I tell people when we're at the schools, I says, does anybody know the scientific name for the middle finger? That's what most of them say. And I said, yeah. I said, well, you know, all your hands are called the phalanges, you know, your phalanges. I says, this is your pinky, all your fingers are called phalanges. So this is your pinky, this is your ring finger, this is your thumb, this is your pointed finger, and this is your traffic finger. Because when I'm going to pull out in front of you in the parking lot, you're going to wave bye-bye to me and you're going to use that traffic finger. And I just do that to remind them, because if you do it over here, it's not going to work. If you do it the pointer finger, if you do it over here, it's not going to work. So you go down the middle finger, when you feel resistance, you stop. And like I say, you've done something they're not used to doing. Now more people are doing that because we've been doing this.
Fast for me there. You want it to go to the top, right? Where do you want it to go in a relationship?
Okay, you always have your thumb, the thumb side facing your thumb, her thumb that you're measuring, and you want it to push it down like that. And see how my thumb, the fat of my thumb, now you can't.
Don't use the word fat.
I was going to say that, sweetheart. You know, usually I say, you know, it's the fat part of your thumb starts you. And I said, oh, I'm sorry. My wife was a biology teacher.
Your hand off.
Yeah. I says, my wife was a biology teacher and she informed me that there's no place on a woman's body whatsoever that has an ounce of fat on it. Is that not true? And they'll use this, say, yeah. And I said, now men on the other side, we got fat all over us, you know, but women, so you try to be a little comical about it. Sometimes I'll do that and I'll have my hand out there and I'll grab their hand and I'll put it in there, and usually I'll put my hand over there. This has absolutely nothing to do with selling shears. It's the only way a big ugly fat guy like me can get a hold of a pretty girl's hand. So you know they like that at the hair shows, and other people that do hair shows can probably identify with this. For some reason, and I don't know why, women walk around in threes mostly. Sometimes they'll be 4 or 5. Sometimes there'll be 10, but most of the time you see them walking around with 3. And usually there's always a very pretty girl in the group, a so-so girl, and one that's, you know, you wouldn't consider. But when we do it at the hair shows, what I'll do is that when I go to do that, I'll actually ask one of the girls who is not quite the most attractive, and I do that for her because she's not used to getting the attention. The pretty girl always gets the attention, and it's two-sided because she's happy you asked her, and the pretty girl over here is getting mad because you didn't ask her. Now before it's over, you measure all their hands, but she's getting there and she's thinking about, well, why didn't he measure my hand first? You know, I always get the attention, but before it's over, would you measure their hands? You get that, and you talk to them about it. It's another way to get their attention and grab them and you know, say, this is I'm different. I'm here to help you.
Explain to them why they wanted that length.
I told them because it's balanced,
What's
yeah.
the balance?
And they don't
If
cut
they're too
themselves.
long- Yeah, if they're too short, they cut their knuckle here. If they're too long, they cut up here.
Earlier it was talked about you get the shears you're excited about and sell those. And since we've been talking about cooking and stuff like that, Bonnie says she's a cook, they're chefs. I say, you know, some of them were fancy restaurants where they had a limited menu. I go to Smorgasbord. Do I look like I go to Smorgasbord? You know, you know, the Smorgasbords and the Foggy Bottom. Yeah. But anyway, I go there where you got the, you know, you go there and you got 15 different vegetables you can choose from, 6 or 7 meats, stuff like that. And then what I do is I ask them questions to qualify the person to bring it down to where there's 3 or 4 shears that would fit their needs. I measure their hands. So if I know they're a 5.5, I'll pull out the 5.5s and I'll talk to them about colored shears and, you know, offset shears, twisting shears, things like that, and qualify the questions and give them choices along the way, getting them to say, yes, I like this, I like that, I like that. And then I get 3 or 4, and then I start concentrating on the sell, on which one suits their needs the most. And usually, if you put 4 down there, they'll eliminate 2. If you put 3 down there, they'll eliminate 1. And then you say, okay, try these shears again. I usually get them to close their eyes so they can concentrate. I say, you want to see which one feels like an extension of your hand. And then they do that. And then I say, okay, which one do you like the best? And she says, well, I like this one the best. I try to get them what they want. And because I don't want to sell them 1 shear, I want to sell them 10 shears over a long period of time. You're going to sell what you have there. The reason I like to have a variety is because I like to have one, like usually it's the Jazzy, the cheapest shear. I like to have the 5, 5.5, 6, 6.5, and thinning shears, so they have 1 of each size. And then in one of the other families, I'll have a 7-inch shear in there. And that way you can determine what size they want. And then say they don't like the Jazzy, but they like the Rose, but they like the 6.5 Rose, but I only had the 5.5 and 6 in the case. I said, well, I can order that Rose for you in the 6.5. That's not a problem.
Now, do you get a deposit up front or just buy it?
That's up to you.
What do you do?
Well, normally I have it in stock. We're in a different category, so.
What I'm suggesting to sharpeners that are selling like an $800 shear to ask for a deposit.
Yeah, if it's an expensive shear, ask for a deposit, because you don't want to be out of it.
But if you get it and they don't want it, you can send it back to us and we'll give you back your money. It's not like you're going to have a restocking fee.
That helps a lot.
Yeah, and that's, anytime you buy a shear from us and you put it in your case and you think it's going to sell and it doesn't sell, as long as it's in good shape, send it back to us. We give you full credit for it. Now,
It's so long that it's a discontinued shear.
yeah, discontinued shear, you won't get, or if you send it back to us and we have to resharpen it, you get a 20% restocking fee charged to
Or
you.
you swap the screw on it.
Swap the screw or something, yeah, change things around. But we try to be the best people you can use changes from, except for unless you're Jim. And he breaks one, we won't give him his back, to be honest.
That is actually pretty unique, because I rep the above line, and they'll do it for 30 days, but as far as I know, Benitez they're the only ones that'll take back some shears or something, as long as it's in good shape. Doesn't matter if it's a year and a half down the road,
Yeah.
it's still.
We've taken it back years later. Someone passed away maybe and the wife that's got the shears, and we'll get them in and we'll decide whether we can sell them as new or if they're discontinued and get a portion of it back.
But even then, you just do a fee anyway.
Yeah, we'll take everything back.
Pretty unique.
Because we can sell it as used if we can't sell it as new.
Well, we tried to, we were in your position to begin with because we didn't have our own line of shears. We were buying from the Eichert company and other companies. And we know how we wanted to be treated. And I was impressed. That's the way, pretty much the way y'all ran your business back then. I think the reason we did our business with the Eichert people to begin with to make our shears is I was across from them at a booth. I told you about that, and I heard a lady come back and she said, I bought these shears from you 2 years ago and I've never liked them. And I don't know if it was probably Ramon, because he's the better.
Uva wouldn't have done that. That's what I thought, man, lady.
And he took them back and he says, so what do you want? She didn't have any receipt, she didn't have any warranty. He said, what do you want, you know? And he swapped her another pair of shears right then, no question.
So I want to do a blatant advertisement for Benica Shears.
Sorry. Did she bring it to you?
What's that?
That's yours. I didn't know if you wanted to show that. They just came in.
Oh, those of you that want to see with the ISSA certification.
I showed them mine.
I know, but yours is the old one.
Yeah.
Just real quick. So Benica Shears, they've got a great variety of shears, which is awesome. Because if you need something, you can get it. I see so many people like Walter, they go, you know what? I want my own line, I want my own brand. I can tell you from experience, that if you want your own line, your own brand, what's gonna happen is, you just can't have one size, you need 3 sizes, you need different sizes. You can go nearly broke doing it. To get what they want, the variety they have, that you can get onesie twosies, you return them, super awesome.
So officially, the Sharpeners Jam is over. At this point, if you want to stay and do ISSA certification, or Janie, I'm going to work with her on basic shear sharpening or anything else, or Ramon is not rushing out, if you have questions for him, I don't know how fast. I know Dennis has got to hit the road, but I'm going to go over those tests with you.